Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever time it may be, wherever in the world you are right now looking at us. This is Homefront. My name is Rome, and thank you all very much for joining us for another episode. And today we're going to chat with our enrolled nursing assistant. Her name is Trisha Henry, and unfortunately she contracted the COVID-19 virus, and we are going to dive deeper into her story. So Trisha, how are you?
I am okay.
So first of all, let me find out from you. You still have the virus? You still are COVID positive?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So guys at home, the reason why she couldn't be here with us, as obviously, is that she's still positive. So we're going to do this interview via Zoom. So Trisha, again, thanks for joining us. And let's start at the beginning. Before you would have contracted the virus, you were not vaccinated. Is that right?
No, I wasn't vaccinated.
Okay. So what was your reasoning behind this? Why didn't you want to get the vaccine?
It's not that I didn't want to get the vaccine. I had a medical condition that I was dealing with. So I was unable to take the vaccine at that point in time.
Okay, so it wasn't that you didn't want to, is that
No.
you were advised at that point in time not to?
At that point in time, I couldn't have taken it.
Right,
Yes.
right. And what about your nursing colleagues? What is the word on the street with them in terms of what you've been hearing? Because I know that a lot of the nursing staff are still not vaccinated. Why is that?
Well, fear of the unknown, firstly, because when it first came, nobody knew what it was about. They were afraid of the side effects. Would it cause any harm? Their religious beliefs. So it was all of these factors put together made the nurses not sure if they wanted to get the vaccine or not.
Okay. Have you heard from any of your colleagues since you have contracted the virus? Are their minds being changed, or do they still have the same standpoint?
Well, no. Most of the nurses by now are vaccinated. It's only a handful of them still undecisive, but being that a lot of us now are being positive, they are changing their minds towards being vaccinated.
Right, right. So Trisha, let's go back a bit. In October, you may have contracted the virus, am I right? Around that time?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So what would have happened from then till now? From the first step you contracted the virus, how did it feel?
Well, I was previously well, and I started with a sore throat. Then it proceeded with a cough, and not a bad cough, just a slight cough. And from there, it went to me getting a high fever. And I called and I let my head nurse know, well, I'm getting symptoms. What is the proper procedure to do from there? And they called the doctors to let them know that I have symptoms. And they called me to ask me how I was feeling. And from there, when they found out, well, I had a high fever, the sore throat, and the coughing, they decided that I had to get swabbed.
Since the pandemic began in March 2020, we have been taking cover and protecting ourselves using the regular and established protocols: washing hands, wearing masks, watching distance. We now have a grand opportunity to push back at the enemy through the use of vaccines. Vaccines will give us hope for reducing fear, anxiety, and resistance. They will allow us to assist the poor, the needy, and those who are vulnerable. Receive the vaccines as they are available. We are longing to return to worship, to pray, to sing, to give God thanks in a safe environment, and vaccines will allow that. I am fully vaccinated, and that allows me an extra layer of protection and confidence to do my work. I appeal to you. Receive the vaccines as they become available. Consider and respond positively. We must move on to normalcy. Let's do our part. Let's vaccinate TNT.
and they call the doctors to let them know that I have symptoms. And they called me to ask me how I was feeling.
Mm.
And from there, when they found out, well, I had a high fever, the sore throat, and the coughing, they decided that I had to get swabbed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they told me that was on the Saturday. So they told me on the Monday to come in and get swabbed. But before Monday, Sunday started to get worse. I started to cough more, started to gasp for breath, had cold chills, sweating.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter came the Monday morning to pick me up. She did all the proper procedure to safeguard herself against me, and she carried me to the hospital to get swabbed. But while there, I started to get worse, and they rushed me to the emergency department, the adult emergency department, for the doctors to assess me. And while there, they swabbed me, and the results came back positive for COVID. They have tents where they keep you, but because I was COVID positive, they decided to move me where they had a biocontainment unit.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent me to that area where I stayed for 2 days because the doctors and them had to monitor me. They had to control the fevers because the fevers were persistent and they were high. So they had to monitor me. They did x-rays. After 2 days, they stabilized me and they decided that I was well enough to go home. So they sent me home with medication and a monitor, a SBA2 monitor,
Yeah.
to monitor my oxygen levels. I didn't want my daughter to stay with me because I am positive. So she just made sure everything was okay for me. And I was home by myself from there. During the night, I started to get worse. I started to feel like I couldn't get air into my lungs. I felt like if I was drowning,
Mm-hmm.
and was just gasping for breath. And I started to pray. I didn't even have the energy to call the ambulance at that point in time. So
Wow.
during that morning period, it was like around 1:30 or something like that, it started to happen. I remember something I was taught in one of the lectures that they send us to COVID training. And they say if you're getting problems to breathe, lie in the prone position. And I did go in the prone position until morning, which did help me a little bit, but I was still gasping for air. The doctor who had to monitor me from the industrial med called in the morning, and as she heard my voice, she immediately called the ambulance to come and pick me up.
Hmm. So that prone position that you mentioned as lying on your stomach.
Yes, lying on your stomach.
Right. Right. So when the ambulance came for you, where did they send you? Were you sent into ICU? How?
They sent me to a COVID hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the hospital, they put oxygen on me, and having the oxygen on me wasn't helping. I was still breathing fast, I still was gasping, and they carried me up to the critical area immediately where the doctors and them came to assess me. They put up the oxygen on a high flow because I was not getting my SpO2, which is my oxygen levels, were really low. So they were trying to get that up. They put on an IV access on me. They sent me for a CT scan because I was coughing up mucus with blood in it. So they
Right.
were concerned, right? So they sent me for the CT scan. They put up fluids. I wasn't eating. So it was a real scary situation while I was in that hospital because I really thought I might have died.
And that's what I'm coming to ask. If you felt that way, if you were ever nervous at one point that you may go to bed one night and not wake up the next morning.
Yes, because the feeling of not being able to get air into your lungs is not a nice feeling. It
Mm.
isn't. You're struggling, your heart pounding, your chest hurting, and it's nothing you could do, right? You have to rely on the doctors and the nurses to help you.
So how long were you at the hospital for?
I spent 2 weeks in the COVID hospital.
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 weeks in the step-down facility when I was better.
Okay. And at the step-down facility, is it that they're still treating you? What happens there at the step-down facility?
Yes, they still treat you. I was still on oxygen, but at a lower rate.
Right.
So once my oxygen level was at the lower rate, they were able to send me to the step-down facility where I was still getting treatment. I still was on medication. I still was on the oxygen, right? But while they tried to wean you off of the oxygen, right? They carry you outside for you to get sunshine, because remember, when you're in the hospital, you're not getting any of these things.
Yeah.
Right? So when you go there, they actually put you outside to sit out so you could get some sun.
Some sun, right. Okay, so 2 months, 2 weeks, sorry, at the COVID hospital, 2 weeks at the step-down facility, and then you're at home.
Yes.
And
what they did is they swabbed me before they released me.
So
right? And then I went home.
So they swabbed you before you left the step-down facility.
Yeah.
And once you're negative, they send you home?
Well, right. But I was positive. But the thing about it is, remember, I am working in the field. So they know I know what I'm supposed to do and not do. And then I am by myself, quarantined. I'm not home with anybody. Okay. My daughters and everybody in a next area. Okay. So I could safely
So they allow you to safely quarantine
right,
at
so they
home.
allow me to,
so, and how long now you're at home?
3 weeks.
So 2 weeks in the COVID hospital, 2 weeks in a step-down facility, and 3 weeks you're home? Wow.
Yeah.
But this COVID, I want to leave you at all?
No, it doesn't.
But how do you know if you still have the virus or not?
Well, they swabbed me over again for me to know, but I have the symptoms
still. Oh, you still have the symptoms?
I have, yes. Sometimes I lost a smell. I might smell now and can't smell anything again. I'm still coughing. I still have shortness of breath. I have cold, I have periods where I just cold sweating for no reason. But I know it's not no reason. I know it's because I still have COVID. Right? So that is what has been going on with me right now.
But that's a long while. I didn't know that it lasted this long. Because, Trisha, I would share with you that I myself contracted it. But I would say the difference would have been I would have been fully vaccinated. And for me, the symptoms only lasted 3 days. And it was everyone is different, but it was very, very mild. So, and based on what you've been hearing in terms of the vaccine and all of that, if you were allowed to take the vaccine, based on your medical conditions, would you have taken it?
Well, I would have taken it if I didn't have a medical situation going on. Once I have gotten all the information I need to get, and I'm sure it was safe enough for me to take it, yes, I would have taken it.
Okay. And in terms of your nursing colleagues who will be looking at us now, what advice would you have for them based on that?
Well, I will tell my nursing colleagues and the nation as a whole, nobody could force you to do something that you don't want to do, but think about your family, think about your friends, because this virus, you need to protect them from it. With my experience, I passed it on to my friends and my family. I had gotten 7 people infected.
Wow.
Just by being around me. So I will like to caution people to please get vaccinated, just for the sake of your family and your friends, to protect yourself. So at least if you do get it, it wouldn't be so bad like how I got it. Right? So as a nation, we have to come together and try to do the right thing and protect ourselves. Use the safety protocols, everything. Just vaccinate and use the safety protocols.
Trisha, on that note, we're going to take a small pause as we head into our mindfulness moment. And we'll be back because we still have to touch base with you, because I heard that your mother also contracted the virus. So we're going to touch a bit on that right after our mindfulness moment.
Hello and welcome to today's Mindful Minutes. Today I'd like to talk to you about being with difficult emotions, really being with the uncertainty, because COVID has been a time for all of us that's been that. What I'd like to invite you to do is to practice something called RAIN. And the way that works is, first of all, just checking in with yourself to see what you're feeling. The R stands for recognizing whatever emotion you're feeling right now. See if you can name it, because that actually helps it to dissolve. Good. A stands for acknowledging where you feel that in your body. Where do you notice that you carry that? Perhaps in your chest or in your abdomen. I encourages us to investigate why we are feeling what we feel, what were the events that led up to this situation, and also what possible actions we can take. And N stands for nurture, meaning to take care of ourselves, to think about how we can best take action while looking after ourselves and our bodies and being gentle and compassionate with ourselves in the process. I like this acronym because it reminds us that even when times get tough, that we can rely on a technique like our breathing and RAIN to remind us to be here now.
It's Rome, and we are here. We're chilling with the boys. We're liming with the kids. We're doing this all for the PED CARES Foundation. So we need you at home watching us to go donate. Head over to the pedcares.org and send that donation, whether it's via credit card, direct transfer, because we want to make sure that the kids of our pediatric emergency department get the best possible care that they can get, because we need to take care of the next generation. The future lies with the kids. You all ready? On three, we go and say yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
Yay! The PED CARES Foundation. And we're back. We are refreshed. We are relaxed. That was our mindfulness moment. We're here with Tricia, our enrolled nursing assistant who contracted the COVID-19 virus, and she's given us a full insight into everything that went on with her. And now we're touching a little bit, Tricia, in terms of your mom. You said that you because of people interacting with you, there were 7 different people who got the virus, one including your mother. Was it your mom?
She didn't get it. No,
she didn't get
it
you?
from me. No, my mother was very meticulous about people coming around her with anything like that. It came home and meet her. She was saying about her brother-in-law. He left the house and stayed with some relative for 3 days and came back sick. And she had to see about him. And he is COVID positive. So she was staying with COVID. She got COVID
from him.
From him.
Ooh, and what was your mom's experience now? Because she would have been older than you are. And I know that it was affecting the elderly a bit worse.
Yes. And my mother was so adamant that she did not want the vaccine. She did not want it, right? So when she got this thing, she was like, and now seeing, she said, I'm now getting a dose of what you went through. But she ended up, my mother got so sick at the point in time that one time she was unresponsive. When we tried to talk to her, she wasn't responding. She was watching with her eyes, but not responding. Her head was slumped, and she just looking with her eyes and not being able to respond. And we had to rush her to the hospital.
Tricia, I'm going to pause reason. In that moment, what would you have felt seeing your mother like that?
I was feeling helpless because my sister was with her. Remember, I'm in quarantine.
Oh, so you would not be able.
Right. My sister called me panicking because she wanted to know what to do. She said, I cannot get mommy to respond to me. What to do? I said, call the ambulance. I said, you cannot call the ambulance. But the ambulance was taking so long that you rushed her to the hospital.
Right. Because I know a lot of people saying that that's what's happening because the ambulances are so overwhelmed with all of the calls that they're getting. Sometimes they have to take measures into your own hands and take your loved one to the hospital.
Yes.
And how is your mother now?
But she's doing a lot better because they keep her overnight, they give her fluids and they give her medication. So now she's home on medication. She's so weak because she can't walk about as much. But I make her sit up, or I tell my sister make her sit up and things so she will be able to breathe easier because she has shortness of breath as well. And well, the fever finally break because she had fever ongoing still, but it finally broke. Like 2 days now, she hasn't had a fever. So now I asked her, because jokingly with her, asked her this morning, I say, so now, I get a case of COVID. Are you going to be vaccinated? She said, yes, I am. I'm not playing with this.
She ain't playing with it again. She ain't playing with it again. Well, I'm glad that her mind was changed in terms of, unfortunately, she had to experience it
Experience
to
it.
go through it. But I'm
Yeah.
hoping that a lot of people who are still a bit hesitant, hearing your story and hearing your mom's story, instead of having to go through it themselves, will be able to
Themselves.
go and get the shot and prevent. Prevention is always better than cure. And it's not only about getting COVID itself, but in terms of the effects of long COVID, do you feel as though you have any effects of long COVID, seeing that you have it for quite a while?
This period of time. Yes, because it's been oh, how much weeks now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. And this thing has not left, and I still have symptoms. So I am feeling like that, like if I have long COVID. Yeah.
Right, because so Trisha, I know that some people were touting it as COVID is just a virus, it's like the flu. But normally someone who contracts the flu or contracts a regular virus would not have all of these symptoms for such a
Only
long period of
a
time.
long time.
And that's what a lot of the doctors and the nurses have been reiterating for a while with people, that it is not your average virus. It's not something to play with, and that's why we would want to get vaccinated. So Trisha, we wanna thank you very much for joining us today on Hopefront. Thank you for giving us that insight. Thank you for letting us be a part of your entire journey. And to you at home, we are hoping that you took a page out of her book and her mom's book, and that you would learn from what took place there. This is Homefront. My name is Rome. We are here at the Dwellings. Thank you very much for accommodating us. And to our PED CARES Foundation family, make sure you go donate, donate, donate. We're doing this for the kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
Have lots of that.
The field, well, you had to deal with plenty of that.